Hi guys, how are you doing, cutie patooties? This is Long White Mane, and this is the channel where if you can grow your hair down to your butt, you'll never have a bad hair day. This is like the fourth time I've tried to lay down this video, and I'm going banana crackers. First thing I want to say is, yes, my hair is up again. I'm menopausal. It's hot, so I'll leave it there. You'll also notice that I'm gray here, and the ends of my hairs are kind of dark brown. That's because before I retired in 2014, I dyed my hair blue-black, which I really liked, and kind of looked good on me, kept the gray away. And when I retired, I thought, you know what, I don't want to spend any more money on 2 boxes of hair dye just to get all this done. So that's why I've got like 8 different colors going here. And I apologize to the beauticians of you out there that may be watching, but you got to understand, I don't let anybody touch this but me. So there you go. Okay. Um, First thing I wanted to get to before my nose runs and makes me feel all embarrassed is um, I am a Halloween baby, born on October 31st. So you know I love my horror films, anything to do with scary. And today I ran across the Asia's Got Talent winner for 2017. And it was this Indonesian um, magician by the name of the Sacred Rihanna. Now, she is not written, her name is not the same as the Riri we all know and love. It's spelled R-I-A-N-A. And she combines horror with magic. And she is absolutely scary fun. And if you guys take a chance, her name is the Sacred Rihanna. Give her a watch. She's just a blast. Okay, the next thing is getting to know me a little bit. I am a World War II fanatic. Notice I don't say expert. I am a fanatic. I am an armchair historian, meaning I am not a college-trained historian. I don't have a degree in history, but all these books here in this cabinet here or shelf either have to do with World War II or something in that arena. And the reason I'm telling you this is that if you are a Netflix subscriber, there is a really good documentary on there right now called Hitler's Circle of Evil. And if it sounds a little over dramatic, if you know anything about the European theater in World War II, you'll understand that it's not over dramatic. This is a documentary done by the British. I don't think it's BBC, but I could be incorrect. But at any rate, it's a British documentary about, not about Hitler per se, but about Hitler's henchmen and how and how they start with the beginning of the Nazi party in the beer halls of Munich and forward, and then they talk about the creeps the sycophants and the yes men that got around Hitler and his how they influenced him, what they did to each other. And I'm talking about Heinrich Himmler, Martin Bormann, uh, Rudolf Hess, all these guys. And I've got books. I've got Hess's biography. I've got the book by Albert Speer. I've got all these other books, but I still learned something new. So I want to encourage you to check that out if you're at all a history buff or at least into World War II like I am. Okay, that's enough of that. Now, today I wanted to talk about kleptomania. And why am I talking about it? Because I remember as a kid growing up, we made a joke about it, right? We joked about a lot of stuff as kids, but we never really understood what kleptomania was. We just know it was about stealing things. Um, and I remember as a child, uh, gosh, yeah, I was probably about 6th grade. I stole a keychain from Sears, and man, I felt horrible. I took it home, and the feeling just got worse and worse. And I just gave the keychain to a friend of mine and never stole anything again. It just is not a good feeling. I don't recommend it. Um, but it was one lesson I was able to teach myself rather than having my parents beat it into me, which, okay, we'll leave that alone. Okay, so kleptomania, what is it? It is, in fact, a serious disorder. It's not a standalone disorder like you would find with bipolar. or schizophrenia or depression, it is usually coupled with just about any kind of other uh, mental illness, and especially with the OCD categories of illnesses, or those on, as they say, on the OCD spectrum. It is a type of impulse control disorder. By that, I mean the person with kleptomania cannot resist the impulse to steal these little things. And it's cyclical. It goes on and on and on. I mean, there's times when the impulse is not so strong, and then at times when it's stronger. Nonetheless, it's there. Okay. It is serious, not because it's life-threatening, but because the people with kleptomania, they can be arrested for shoplifting. And in Long White Main's world, kleptomania is not a jailable offense, it's a doctor offense. It's something you need to see a doctor for. But you got to understand that most people, including police officers and judges and other folks, don't understand mental illness, and they're going to see that person as a shoplifter. And so that's why they wind up in jail. But even those that haven't been caught, they're living lives of secret shame. This is, kleptomania and other uh, mental illnesses. It's not something you bring up at brunch unless that other person understands, mental illness, or they're going through something and they're a friend of yours. That's not something you bring up in polite company. And unfortunately, like other mental illnesses, there is no instant cure for kleptomania, but there is treatment with medication and therapy, and I'll talk about that going on. The symptoms of kleptomania basically are very simple. It's the inability to resist the urge to steal things, and they're items that you don't need, you don't want, and you can afford. Candy bars, keychains, t-shirts, pairs of gloves, a scarf, anything that is just, it's just not, you don't need it, you don't want it, you can afford it, right? What happens is the person gets the impulse to steal the item. A tension comes up, anxiety or some other kind of excitement leading up to that theft starts to build up in that person. And when they steal it, the process of stealing relieves that tension and gives them some sort of a relief feeling or some sort of other gratification. And then as they're leaving the area that they stole that from, whether it's a friend, family, or a retail establishment, then perhaps these feelings of guilt and remorse and self-loathing and shame and all these bad things start coming up, and they're scared of being arrested for the theft. I mean, there's just a lot of things that are going on, and like I said, it's cyclical. It goes on and on and on. Now, how do you tell the difference between a shoplifter and a klepto or a kleptomaniac? Well, it's really easy. Shoplifters are out there for the profit, okay? They are not going to steal an item unless it's going to make them money. And they usually, if they're not shoplifting for themselves, they're shoplifting with, other people. Maybe there's a ring of shoplifters. They have a fence they can sell items to, or a pawn shop that'll accept those stolen items for a certain amount, above retail, whatever. But you know what I'm saying. These people are thieves. They're in it for the market. They're not going to steal candy bars. They're going to steal something that's going to make them money. Okay? And that's not our kleptos. Our kleptos steal little things, and they're not in it for the money. Another thing is shoplifters plan and they collaborate. Kleptos don't. There is no planning, and they don't bring anybody into on it. They're just doing it for themselves, okay, to get that release from tension, okay, or release, or whatever that gratification feeling they get. That's what they do it for. And like I mentioned a little earlier, they do steal from retail establishments or swap meets, wherever they happen to be. Unfortunately, this kleptomaniac can also steal from friends, family, or acquaintances. Example, say there's a huge engagement party at someone's house and they're drinking, nobody's paying attention. You walk in to use the bathroom, you're the klepto, right? You walk in to use the bathroom and you happen to look in the cabinets and you found this toothbrush. It's brand new. You don't need it, you don't want it, and you can certainly afford to buy your own toothbrush, but you steal it anyway. Or God forbid, you walk into the master bedroom and you go through the jewelry box and steal something out of that. Okay, so that's kind of the scenarios they deal with. So what happens to all these things they've stolen? Well, normally a kleptomaniac will stash them away somewhere. They're hidden. They don't want to look at them. And from my imagination, I imagine because they don't have a good connotation. You know, you don't want something around that makes you feel bad, so they just hide them away. Eventually, these are given to charity or to other friends and family, and maybe in some cases even secretly returned to the place where they were stolen. I imagine it's much easier to secretly return them to a friend or family member rather than you know, give it away, whatever. Okay, the urge to steal, it comes and goes, and over the course of time, it comes and goes with greater or lesser intensity. There is a thinking out there that says that the more stress that a person is under, okay, the more they'll steal things, and that stealing things reduces that stress. It gives them that relief for a little while, and the less stress they're under, the less they'll steal. Okay, so there is that. Like I said, it's not a standalone pathology. It's hooked up with just about every mental health issue you can think of. People with mood swings, like myself, I have bipolar 2 with psychotic features. People with anxiety, eating disorders, alcohol and substance abuse sufferers. They can also develop kleptomania as well as relief of symptoms of high stress or tension, whatever may be going on. A really interesting side note is I found that particularly with bulimia nervosa, if the person's pathology is coupled with kleptomania, they find that the more frequently that the bulimic acts on their kleptomania, the more frequently they steal, the more harsh that the bulimia is. So they use that as kind of a weather gauge to determine just how bad the eating disorder is. Okay, so the other thing it's really coupled with is other diseases within the how do I say it? The I can't do it. This is the fourth time. Obsessive compulsive spectrum. Okay, and these diseases, if I can get my notes to cooperate, I put all my notes in Excel, so sometimes the sheet doesn't cooperate with me. I do apologize. But it is coupled sometimes with compulsive gambling, compulsive buying, pyromania, and trichotillomania. I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly. I believe that is the removal or the compulsive need to pull your hair out, whether it's your head hair, your eyebrows, your eyelashes, beards, if you're a man. It's coupled with that. And of all things, I learned that nail biting is somewhere on that OCD spectrum, and I'm a nail biter from way back. I've been chewing my nails since I was a kid, and unless I wear acrylic or gel nails, I'm biting my nails. So I guess I got that going on for me too, OCD. And yes, I do go through one heck of a lot of hand sanitizer. Okay. So we've kind of understood the difference between a kleptomaniac and a shoplifter, how that is attached to usually a certain mental illness pathology, and it's not a standalone. When do you see a doctor? Well, I have an idea that most kleptomaniacs have seen a doctor simply because either, number one, they've got something going on, otherwise OCD or some other mental illness, and they're seeing a doctor for that, or they're been arrested and they are told by a judge as part of their sentence to see a doctor about their kleptomania. Um, a lot of people with kleptomania are afraid or ashamed to see a doctor because they're be afraid that they're going to be jailed, you know, like they're going to walk in and sit down in their psychiatrist's office and go, yeah, I have compulsive gambling and I'm this and I'm that. Oh, by the way, I'm a kleptomaniac. This morning I stole a toothbrush from my neighbor. And, you know, they're not going to get on the phone and call the cops and say, look, he's right here. He stole a toothbrush from George next door. Get him. Click. They're not going to do that. They are there to help you, okay? So they're not interested in throwing you in jail. They are not interested in filing a report with the police after you leave. They are there to help you. Now, from my experience, and as far as I know, the only time a doctor or other healthcare professional is going to call the authorities is when their patient is in danger of hurting himself or herself, maybe suicide, or hurting somebody else. You know, they're going to shoot somebody or stab somebody or somehow injure another person out in the public. That is the only time I'm aware that health workers will call somebody. And so, you know, don't be afraid. Please, please, please trust your doctor. Trust your therapist. Trust the person in charge of your health and, you know, of your mental health. They're not going to call the doctor. That's not what they're interested in. Okay, I'll quit beating that dead horse. Well, okay, say you're not the one with kleptomania, but you've noticed it in a family member or you've noticed it in a friend, someone you're close enough to talk to. Number one, be patient. Chances are they're not going to open up to you right away. It's a shameful thing, and I have an idea that, you know, talking about erectile dysfunction is a lot easier than talking about kleptomania, okay? It's scary for them, and it's a shameful thing for them. And, okay, I'm not talking about sociopath or psychopaths. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about regular people with problems, not people who don't feel guilty about anything. So you go to that person, and it's the same as I've already told you about talking to somebody who is suicidal, what to say, what not to say, how to take care of a mentally ill person. Just try to be gentle with them. Don't go in there with an accusation. Don't go in there argumentative. Don't go in there with any other thing but love and concern. And just really gently raise your concerns with them. Say, for example, you were shopping at Nordstrom's earlier and you were both looking at this pair of gloves, and all of a sudden you notice when you get to their house that the pair of gloves is in their pocketbook, but you know they didn't pay for those gloves. You know, you might want to bring that up gently, like, you know, I know you didn't pay for these. What happened here? Can you help me understand what's going on? And they may lash out, oh, there's nothing going on, you know. But be patient and keep hitting them, you know, keep at them. Letting them know that you love them, that they're valuable, and that they're worth it. Because their self-esteem may be way in the pits. Nobody cares. I'm a horrible person. But it may be you that drags them out of that and gets them help. Obviously, you're going to let them know that you care about them and that you're interested in their well-being. You're worried about the consequences of the stealing. You know, if they get arrested and the employer finds out, they could lose their job. Or if a significant other finds out, that person could leave them. You know, I mean, not everybody understands mental illness and not everybody wants to, especially those that have been stolen from. All they know is they've been violated because somebody stole from them. They don't want to care. They don't care if it's kleptomania. I mean, I do. If, you know, if somebody stole something from me and it was a little thing, but I found out they were a kleptomaniac, I'm okay, all right, I get it, you know. And I know how to protect myself from them, but I would understand, but not everybody's like that. Okay? And, you know, employers have no trouble firing you for having just, you know, the littlest things go wrong. Unfortunately, that's the truth. And, you know, tell them that you understand that their urge to steal is stronger than just putting, you know, than just putting their mind to not stealing. You know, that's another thing I want to bring up. Kleptomania cannot be bettered by willpower, okay? You can't tell them, if you just put your willpower to it, you'll stop stealing in no time. You know, that's not the way it works, man. It has nothing to do with willpower. This is a serious illness. This is impulse control and lack thereof. Um, so just be gentle with them. Keep hammering at them. And like I said before in other issues, just make sure that they know that you love them, that they're worth it, and that they're valuable, and that you will help them get a physician, you know, a good psychiatrist if they need it. You know, help them pay for it, help them find a way to pay for it. You know, whatever you can do, do it. Okay. Now, the cool thing about this is, even though it's not curable, as is no other mental health disease that I'm aware of, there is treatment. And from what I've gleaned from the literature, cognitive behavioral therapy is actually one of the best strategies in learning how to cope with your impulses, because it trains your little brain. Since you've been training your brain to steal, it helps you train your brain to reduce to help you fight the impulses to steal, if that makes any sense. You retrain your brain. Cognitive therapy is a huge field. I'm not an educated psychiatrist. I'm just a mental health advocate, so there's a lot I don't understand. But I do know that I've been through cognitive behavioral therapy myself for anxiety, and I learned a lot. What I did learn is, if you go and you work with a cognitive behavioral therapist, you must be completely bought in and engaged in your treatment, because they will give you exercises to do, they will give you homework to do, and by the next appointment, you better have that done, or else they can't go forward. You know, they'll just send you home until you do the homework. Um, and one of the things I did learn, I went to this behavioral therapist because was just overridden with anxiety. My job was the source of that anxiety, and I remember specifically being afraid to answer the phone at the house. And she goes, "Why are you so afraid?" Well, it might be my boss. So what if it is? Well, he might call me up screaming and I don't want to hear it. She goes, "Okay, if you don't want to hear it, what are you going to do?" I don't know. She goes, "Hang up the phone." I go, "You can't hang up the phone." She goes, "Sure you can. He's calling you on your phone, and if he's screaming on your phone that you pay for, you're more than have every right to hang up the phone." "Well, what if I get fired?" "What if he does?" "Well, I'll have to get another job." She goes, "So you get another job. Maybe you'll get a better one." It's not, you know, in short, with this conversation, she taught me that something ending is not the end of the world. It could be a new beginning. And slowly but surely, she taught me to kind of push, you know, kind of get over that anxiety, kind of um, embrace what's coming up, embrace the change, don't fight it. And she got me to the point where I didn't even have anxiety before job interviews, if that makes any sense. So I really, really encourage cognitive behavioral therapy, especially for those on the OCD spectrum. Another thing that, coupled with cognitive behavioral therapy, is medication, especially antidepressants. So if you're seeing a psychiatrist and he's got you on an antidepressant or a cocktail, wonderful. If not, see a psychiatrist, get on an antidepressant, and if it's not the right drug for you, let's find another one. You know, don't give up after one. Keep searching. And it may not be the newest antidepressant that's come down the pike that's on commercials on TV. It may be something that's fairly old that works for you. So just keep working at it. Now, the reason I emphasize psychiatry is because as much as I love them, general practitioners are just that. They're general practitioners. They know a little bit about everything, but they don't know a lot about psychiatry and a lot about psychotropic medications. So if you've got a GP, fine. If that's all you can afford, do the best you can. If you have a psychiatrist, that's even better. That's all I'm saying. But that's me. You know, that may not be your experience in your life, and, you know, please don't think I'm here to tell you that you're wrong. That's not it. Okay, so that's pretty much wrapped up on kleptomania. This is, like I said, the fourth time I've done this video. I've tried to be as brief as possible so I don't bore everybody. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and if there's anything else you want to talk about, you have a comments or anything, please leave it down below. And I've got my regular Suicide Lifeline and other helps for veterans and things like that in the information section. So if there's anything else you got, like I said, let me know in the comment section. I love comments. I never get them, but I love them. Thank you so much, and take care.